Hello, everyone, and welcome to another great episode of the Gridiron Glory here with Will and Tad, where we cover all 32 NFL teams. Today, we have a recap between the Minnesota Vikings and the Atlanta Falcons, with the Vikings defeating the Falcons 42-21. The Vikings improved to 11-2. Atlanta 6-7 on the year, falling out of first place in the NFC South for the first time in several weeks. So a big loss for them. A big win for Minnesota. So looking at the Vikings, a career day for Sam Darnold, who's having a massive rebound this season from the struggles he's had early in his career. So 22 of 28, a career high 347 yards passing, a career high 5 touchdown passes, no interceptions. He was sacked 4 times. So not the best day from his O line, but nonetheless, Sam Darnold out there doing what he does. He's had a great year for the Vikings, and after seeing what he's done in this game and throughout the year, I'd like to ask you sincerely, Mr. Wicker, where would you rank Sam Darnold amongst quarterbacks in the NFL?
Yeah, Tad, when I think of Sam Darnold and ranking him amongst the starting quarterbacks in the NFL, I mean, to me, he definitely makes the top 16. He was the NFC Offensive Player of the Week, according to NFL.com. So he went out there and had a really good game, Tad. And, to me, he's exceeded my preseason expectations. And, I certainly believe that, Sam Darnold has struggled in his career, but you also got to figure that was in a Jets system and in a Panthers system. But
Yeah,
in a Minnesota system, he thrives because he has pieces around him. He has a really good offensive line. I mean, I was noticing in this game, Tad, that Minnesota's offensive line, I mean, yeah, they did give up the 4 sacks, but at the same time, there was a lot of moments where Sam Darnold was able to. I mean, yeah, you want to lower the sack numbers, but there was also a lot of times where Sam Darnold did have plenty of pocket passing time, so where he was able to really deliver some big time throws down the field. Some of those big
he
time
sure
throws,
was.
some of those big time throws to Jordan Addison. 8 catches, 133 yards, 3 touchdowns, 49 yards, 12 targets. Mr. Jordan Addison, the second-year pro out of USC. So far in the season, 44 catches, 708 yards, 7 touchdowns. And yeah, Tad, I'd like to ask you, after this week's performance, where would you rank Jordan Addison amongst wide receivers?
Yeah, when I look at Jordan Addison, I mean, he's been growing every day, and he's doing this as a number two receiver. Obviously, the lead receiver is Justin Jefferson, arguably the top receiver in the league. So even with that guy in the room, Jordan Addison, he's taking advantage of his opportunity to be a quality number two option. He's one of the better number two options in the league. I'd say if you were to rank him amongst wide receivers too, I mean, you'd probably put him behind the Rams wide receiver too, whoever you decide that to be. But you'd probably put him as a top three, top five wide receiver two in the league.
Yeah. All right. Well, amongst WR2s in the league, absolutely. I mean, there are definitely some solid WR2s, but I would say, is in the top 5 of them for sure.
Yeah,
It's kind of like a Batman and Robin role. I mean, he's,
sure.
no question about it. Justin Jefferson is Batman and Addison is
Oh
Robin.
yeah.
But that's not a disrespect when I say that. Addison fills
No,
in a good
obviously not.
role. You know what I mean? Like he's still a good Robin to Justin Jefferson being Batman. So you
Yeah.
know, um, and then you got guys like T.J. Hawkinson, and he's a fairly to me. T.J. Hawkinson is above average, serviceable, reliable, if nothing else, tight end who can be sneakily
Yeah.
sometimes.
I mean, he's been He's not having the best year statistically. He's been working back from an injury, of course, that he suffered against Detroit last year. So he's still. I don't know if he's even 100% now, but at this point, he's out there, he's playing, so he's doing what he can. But he's really gotten off to a slow start, and the injury sure didn't help. But he can be out there. He can still be a threat. Still looking for his first touchdown of the year. That'll come. You'd have to imagine, but he's he's out there.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, though, Tad, this was kind of a disappointing game for the Falcons. What I've noticed in this Raheem Morris tenure so far, to start with Kirk Cousins and everything, a lot of like you have some really good games from the Falcons, and then you got some really bad ones like this one. Tad, what's going on in Atlanta?
Yeah, like you said, just a lot of inconsistency. I mean, that's just what you're seeing out of their quarterback position. I mean, Kirk Cousins, he's one game he's breaking the all-time record for passing yards by a Falcons quarterback in a game, and then 1 month he goes 3, 4 games without a touchdown pass. So I mean, there's a lot of highs and a lot of lows, and I mean, you'd have to wonder if some of it's still that he's working back from the injury, some of it's just getting familiar with the team. But at this point, I mean, you'd have to be surprised that they're in the position they're in at this point. I mean, you'd expect better from a veteran quarterback in Kirk Cousins, I'd think.
I mean, it was a fairly competitive game, even going into the third quarter. I mean, the Falcons were certainly competing, but the Vikings really just, I mean, man, what a fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was 21-21 going into the fourth quarter. I mean, but then the Vikings, they just seized all the momentum. Their defense played better. They just moved the ball better. Just you get the special teams turnover. That's a big play there.
This
Asamoah
game,
forcing the fumble.
this game, in a way, was almost like this was kind of one of those games where it had the vibe of like it's a lot closer than what the sport appeared to be. You could say that just because it's like, okay, you look at the score, you think, wow, what a blowout. But like you said, it was 21-21 going into the fourth quarter, and then just an incredible fourth quarter from the Minnesota Vikings. So,
Sure.
I mean, I just say this, Tad, because I don't want to discredit guys like Darnell Mooney or Ray McLeod or even Drake London. But Darnell Mooney, 6 catches, 142 yards. You got to figure fantasy owners really loved them some Darnell Mooney, the fourth-year player out of Tulane. And yeah, what was your take on some of the big catches from Darnell Mooney in this game, sir?
Yeah, like there were points in the game where the Falcons they were moving the ball really well. Like you said with Mooney, with McLeod, Bijan Robinson had some nice runs. Um, Allgeier had some nice runs. I mean, they both had a touchdown, so it's not like they didn't move the ball well. They moved the ball fine. They got the yards. It's just they couldn't convert when it mattered the most. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. I mean, the Falcons, they actually outgained the Vikings. The Falcons almost had 500 yards of offense, but in the end, what it came down to was the turnovers. I mean, you just can't turn the ball over like the Falcons did all day. The Falcons, 3 turnovers, the Vikings, 0 turnovers. That's really what it came down to. I mean, if the
Yeah,
Falcons 3 touchdowns instead of the 3 turnovers, then I mean that's the 3 touchdowns they lost by.
right.
So
So you
really, what
can't.
it came down to.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you can't have that if you're the Minnesota Vikings. You know, you certainly need to. Or I mean, I'm sorry, the
The Falcons.
Falcons. Yes. So yeah, um, Jesse. I mean, I don't. I mean, you got guys like. I mean, it's just like they were playing a good game, and then just forgot how to play in the fourth quarter. It seems. I don't know if I can even really give their defense any credit. I mean, you
Yeah.
eviscerated Atlanta's defense in the fourth quarter.
You definitely you want to see more from the defense. I mean, the defense they did not have a very good game. I mean, that's just you only forced 1 punt, no turnovers. I mean, the Vikings they basically did whatever they wanted. I mean, they just that's just the way it went. I mean, the only one time the Vikings didn't score was when they missed a field goal. I mean, that's the only stop Atlanta got the entire game. So
Yeah. So big win for your Minnesota Vikes there, 11-2.
Mhm.
Next week, they are going to be going on to play. Let's see. It would appear to
They
be.
host Chicago on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, and where would you rank Minnesota versus Chicago amongst NFC rivalries?
It's a fairly solid rivalry. I mean, what you'd expect from a division rivalry.
Yeah, just because the Bears are 4-9, I mean, Minnesota still has to go out there and play a football game. I mean, we both know this.
So,
And then for the Atlanta Falcons, they will be taking on the Las Vegas Raiders, 2-11 on Monday Night Football. That honestly, like that could be a good game. Crazily enough. So
and that's a game the Falcons have to have it. I mean, at this point, you lost your lead in the
yeah.
division. You gotta clean it up. You gotta have a better game from your veteran quarterback. Your defense has to show some semblance of effort. You just need more than what you got.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely you do. So yeah, the Falcons are gonna have to go out there and still play 4 quarters because Tad. If I'm Raheem Morris, I'm running those boys. Like to me, this was like more about like lack of execution in the fourth quarter, inability to close out, inability to execute. So if I'm Raheem Morris, I'm really getting on them in practice this week. I'm strengthening them up. I'm conditioning them, and I'm telling them like, hey, you got to go out and play 4 quarters, not just 3. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like to me, it's like the Falcons aren't what their 6-7 record appeared to be, Tad. To me, right now, it's a middle of the season. You're in the dog days of the season. You're fighting for your playoff contentions here. And it's a mental thing now, really, for the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, literally. And I mean, that's going to be a real test.
It really is. It's mental. I mean, you just gotta. Yeah, I mean, and it'll be interesting to see how they respond.
And Monday Night Football is going to be a testament to that, sir. Like, and that's a literal testament to what I just said because it's like, okay, you're 6-7, you're in prime time, going up against the 2-11 team. This could be kind of a trap game for the Falcons because I could see the Raiders coming out here and like maybe picking a moment under prime time where they just, I mean, it's the NFL and anything could happen. Obviously, I wouldn't necessarily personally like to see it happen per se. I would love to see the Falcons go in there and get a win, but nonetheless, yeah, I mean, a win that they got to have, and it's really they're in their own way, Tad. They're in their own way, really.
Yeah.
So, they can do it. They just got to go out and do it. So yeah, 42-21, Vikings win. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow all season long. This is the Gridiron Glory.
Thanks for watching.